Yo, what's going on everybody? Chadley here, and in today's video we're going to be looking at Iron Cub. So Iron Cub was not getting any sort of scaling in Mayhem before today's hotfix, but now that has changed and Iron Cub can actually do very well. So we're going to go through today and see how well Iron Cub does in a fully Iron Cub spec'd out build. And then we're going to spec into more of a Moze centric build and see how well Iron Cub does over there. And we're going to compare the two and just see how they perform. Otherwise, for our skill tree, I'm just spec'd into mostly Iron Bear and Iron Cub related things. Nothing too special here. And then otherwise, I'm just running around with the Railgun anointment. And then we have a Shock Old God that's going to help us out. I just have an on grenade throw for the action skill damage. And then I'm also using a flare for the time being. And otherwise, we're just going to run around with the creators. You could also run around with an Unforgiven if you really wanted to. So when your Iron Bear does crit, you're going to get that increased damage, but you really don't need that in any way, shape, or form. The creators is perfectly fine. I just like running around and getting some movement speed. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and see how this does. Now, let's go ahead and start on the mobs first. Because sometimes Iron Cub kind of struggles with AI. Right here, it's actually not, but there's definitely been a few times it does not really want to shoot at the enemies. It's usually on like stairs like this where it doesn't really want to. The augment with the like fire assault rifle was shooting at him, but the actual railguns were not right there. So just keep that in mind with Iron Cub. The AI is nowhere near perfect. Definitely better than Flak's Pet's AI for sure. But otherwise, I'm going to wait for Iron Cub to come back, and then we'll go ahead and kill Traunt. All right, so now we got the Iron Cub back. We're going to go ahead and see what we can do to Traunt. Otherwise, I'm just going to go ahead and throw Iron Cub in the back of Traunt, and then we'll be able to hit the crit with the railgun. And right there, it basically one-shotted him. You can actually one-shot him fairly consistently with Iron Cub, at least with this current spec. And it's a little gross how much damage you can do with Iron Cub. Now let's go ahead and move over to Guardian Takedown because those enemies actually have some health. And we're going to see how Iron Cub does over there. All right, so now we're here in true Guardian Takedown, and we're just going to chuck Iron Cub down and see what it can do. Hopefully, it's actually going to kill these enemies fairly quickly. We're hitting pretty high hits, and it definitely seems like it's doing the job. Obviously, like I said, if we wanted to get super insane, we could just hold the Unforgiven out and do even more damage once we actually hit those crits. There's a 52 million in there, another 51 million, and then obviously the hollow points will get pretty gross. So yeah. Iron Cub is definitely not struggling for damage when you spec into it, but now let's go ahead and spec into more of a traditional Mohs build and see how Iron Cub does with that setup. All right, so now let's go ahead and see how Iron Cub does with a more Mohs-centric build, and this is a pretty standard Mohs setup, so we go about halfway down orange tree here, fair amount away through the green tree. Now, some of these Iron Cub boosting skills I actually normally pick up anyways on Moze, whether I'm using Iron Bear or not. So yeah, that's why those are in there. So this is definitely a very standard Moze build for me. And then we go all the way down to short fuse in blue tree. But otherwise, we're going to be using the exact same stuff. So we have the shock railguns on Cub, and then otherwise the same exact gear loadout. So let's go ahead and see how we are doing now with Iron Cub. And let's go ahead and jump right into it here after Athena's here, because this is definitely always the starting point. We're going to go ahead and jump over to true Guardian Takedown again. Now right there you can kind of see the Iron Cub AI being a little bit derpy. Right there it shot the wall again, but that's exactly what I was talking about. But otherwise, we are definitely still hitting incredibly hard with Iron Cub, which is really nice to see, but also kind of concerns me. I'll get into that a little bit later with why that concerns me. But yeah, as you can see, having no issues killing Athena's mobs as we kind of expected. But let's go ahead and jump over to true Guardian Takedown. All right, so now for the true test, we're going to try true Guardian Takedown, and hopefully Iron Cub can actually do us pretty well, considering we're not really spec'd into it at all. And yeah, we're still hitting incredibly hard, and it's pretty gross. We're hitting absolutely ridiculous numbers, and yeah, that probably should not be a thing, because what I was going to say why this concerns me is with Flak and his pet, Gearbox has explicitly said that they do not want Flak's pet and Flak being good damage dealers at the same time. You got to choose one or the other. And with Moze and her pets, that just seems to not be the case. You can do basically whatever you want, and it is going to do damage. And really the only negative about Iron Cub right now is that it can easily kill itself with like splash damage and stuff. That's like the one thing you gotta look out for with Cub. But yeah, even in a Mohs centric build, you are going to be doing ridiculous damage. And that's just not okay considering how they are treating Flak in his pets. So they got to choose one lane or the other. So I would hopefully like to see Flak stuff be boosted. But yeah, Iron Cub as a whole is definitely a little busted now that it gets mayhem scaling. It's hitting incredibly hard, and overall is definitely worth using your time, especially when you guys are using the railguns. Yeah, if you guys did find this video helpful, make sure you guys leave a thumbs up on it to let me know. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel for more Borderlands content. But otherwise, I'll catch you guys over on Twitch. We stream basically every single night, and I'll hopefully see you guys over there. But I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya!